Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And this time we are here for Heroes Jubilee Catalyst Normal Battle 2 with a wind-focused team. This stage is surprisingly frustrating. Right now the cap is the 51,499. I honestly cannot be bothered for less than 100 points. And I don't know if it's actually possible to get a straight 51.5, so that it is what it is. These mushrooms cannot take damage. Like, they are not as tanky as normal Battle 1, and it is highly frustrating because a lot of your strategies rely on you sending a lot of orbs very quickly, and they don't live that many orbs. So you're going to have a few problems if you're really trying to burst it down by doing too much damage early on, and then not being able to actually nuke properly because they're all dead. But, disclaimers, number one, your results may vary. My box looks different than yours, you have different units, so just try your best, use this video as an example, and then use what you've got. Disclaimer number two is these are the units I use for protection gauge, and these are the units I use for skill points. And number three is don't forget to go into your town and optimize your wind building, so your wind units can hit as hard as possible, but hopefully not too hard. But with that said, let's get started. Alright, starting out, we're going to be using the New Year's Blessing team, Shock Surprise. It has AoE Wind Millum, and they want us to use a wind unit, so that'll work out very well. Xion, we were going to bring the newly nerfed skill-fused Lumi, right? She's got extra alt buff, she's got the AoE buff as well, which I don't remember if we actually used that or not. But more importantly, we've got Rimuru for the rainbows, Shinsha for the buffs, Diablo also for his crit debuff and his giveaway. That'll give us 6 rainbows for Rimuru, and then Millum herself has her small time buff. So I think this is the only run, but let me check. It is the only run. Alright. So it's a very simple stage, and we don't have to do too much. We just have to ensure that we have 3 orbs for Rimuru, or whoever, realistically, for Lumi, essentially. So here, we're going to use 1 stack for alt buff now, because we're not going to do any orb changing here. We're just going to bring Diablo in for Rimuru, and then we're going to send either 3 or 4 green orbs, because we're going to have 1 Lumi here, we have 1 Lumi incoming. So you can either chance it and send all 4, or just guarantee that you have 3 Lumi orbs. Either way, you're going to have enough points to both give away the orbs to Rimuru and then rainbow. So that's the only important part. So just, do you want to RNG more damage for yourself or something? But here, Rimuru comes in for Lumi. We'll use Diablo's giveaway to give him all the orbs, and then we'll use the rainbow for 6 rainbows, and then we'll bring Millum in, and that will get her EX ult. We have to spread the damage out, because again, these guys are not tanky at all. Like, at all. So we'll hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we have a protector, we've got an EX ult, and we have almost max points to do what we need to do here. Yeah, I don't think we have enough to use the AoE buff from Lumi. But, I mean, we're taking not that much damage here. So it's almost a perfect run. Not quite, but almost. So now we'll use 1, 2, 3 buffs, the Shinsha, Millum, and Diablo debuff. We'll use Xion to give ourselves the guaranteed crit and synergy. And then we'll just nuke. And we're going to do damage cap. And the reason we do more than that is because of that one Lumi stack really puts us over. So almost 500k across the board. Very, very nice. If I didn't have Lumi, we would not do cap. But there we go. We took 87 damage, and we hit the 1.4 million cap right there within 3 turns. If you try and go past turn 3, they will stun you for 2 turns, and it's not great. So you're pretty much forced to nuke turn 3, regardless of how you feel about it. And I really don't care about trying to get 86 more points out of this, so we're going to just leave it right here as it is. But let's move on. Alright, next up, we're going in a very odd other direction. We're still using New Year's Blessing Xion and Shinsha, but this time we're going to nuke with Adventurer or World of Fantasy Shizu. Also a Wind AoE character. We actually don't have a lot of those, or at least not a lot of good ones, to be perfectly honest, so it really does limit the stage heavily. And you can't bring a stacking team, like you can't nuke with Hinata. She's not going to do enough damage. Or who else is a Wind DPS single target? I don't even know. I can't even think off the top of my head. But Diablo's here to turn 1 orb change. Hinata's here for the buff. Summer Hinata is here to steal orbs to get us an alt for Shizu, preferably an EX alt, but, we'll see how that goes. And then we just have to nuke with Shizu and pray we can do enough damage, which we don't, but it is what it is. So turn 1, we'll use Diablo's Orb Change, get a full hand of blues. So that's what we're really, really looking for, because he just changes all these greens, so we don't have to even worry about it. I think I build a team for like Tempest Elite, and we can do that as well, if you get a little wonky with it. But here, we're not really going to do anything, because we just need to send the blues to get gauge, right? So here, sending 6 blues, sending them spread out, and then next turn we pray that we have 3 orbs of somebody, anybody, and then we can use Summer Hinata. And thankfully we do get 3 orbs for Shinsha. Very, very nice. So what we're going to do here is, because we have so much protection gauge, right? We're going to use Xion now, get the 6 oranges, and then we're going to do the whole swapping. Because if we were to do that, after we brought Shizu in, she would do way too much damage and everything would die. So we have to make sure that we keep them alive for the nuke. And we can do that by not giving her the buff. And no one else is attacking here, so we're not in danger of really killing. She's going to do a lot of damage still, because again, they're not very tanky. But we have max points, we have another Xion for next turn, we have the EX ult. So yeah, I mean, they're still taking a decent amount of hits off a no buff kind of Shizu. And that thing is basically dead. So here, an AoE hit, AoE hit, AoE hit, blah, 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 whatever. But now we have 130 points. We could use the big time buff with Diablo, but we're not going to. So we're going to use 1 stack of the Shizu attack buff. We'll use the element buff, and then we'll bring Shinsha in for her crit and alt damage buff. And now we can use Shizu to give ourselves the guaranteed crit and synergy. And then we can do massive AoE damage here. And Shizu does, not as much as the other team, certainly. Maybe we would have done more if we'd used a different combination of buffs. You can certainly try. If you don't have access to Shinsha, then you're going to have to. But, I mean, we get it done. We do 1.1 million and a half, so we're not that far off from the damage cap, and we're still, within the turn bonus. The damage taken is fairly low, so there's another team that can do it. Without Xion, your results are going to really start to suffer now, as I'm about to show you. Alright, we're going to do some really funny things here now. So we're bringing Protector Frey. Changes 3 and 3 to 6 greens, gives physical characters guaranteed crits, gives you 40 skill points when you use her. She was the burst team before, this new age of, passively getting 30 skill points was a thing. Isis will take care of our turn 1, and we're guaranteeing we can use both for skills by bringing both Space Millum and Water Soe, so we start with 42 skill points, so we have enough to use both her skills turn 1. We're bringing Water Shuna for her buff, again bringing Autogram Lumi for her permanent buff. We're bringing Skill Fused Wind Dino, because he lowers crit resistance and something else, some other resistance that applies, and then we're going to nuke with the Tempest Elite Shuna, who is another Wind AoE character, and has that guaranteed Pierce buff, so we will take advantage of that a little bit. We also have a charm on Frey for the highest attacking unit to get alt gauge, because I ideally want an EX alt with Shuna, because otherwise we're not going to do, enough. We already don't do enough damage, and we want to make sure we can do, as much as we possibly can, right? But things are a little wonky here, because we need a lot of Shuna orbs, because, greens even buff don't give too much. Even with the AoE buff and giving 50% extra alt gauge on orbs, that stacks with everything else, it is not as much as you would like. So we're going to bring Shuna in. We have to spread the damage out, because we do a lot here. Yeah, we do a lot of damage with those two. And now we actually get kind of lucky, but kind of unlucky at the same time. Because we get 5 Shuna orbs, which is great, because that guarantees we're going to get her EX alt. But also, now we're going to do a lot of damage. And we're going to have guaranteed crits here, unless we use an orb change with Isis, which I don't think we do. So we're going to put the resistance down, because it lasts for 2 turns. We'll use a stack of the alt buff, we'll use a stack of the AoE buff, which will give all the orbs extra alt gauge. We'll use Frey, and There we go. It actually didn't give the ult to Shuna, it gave it to Dino. Interesting. I must have not taken his weapon off. Oh well. But now we have to be very, very careful with where we're sending orbs, because Shuna has guaranteed crits now. And we do have enough points to use her guaranteed pierce right now as well. But if we did that, they would die. Just like straight up, they would die. Like, look how close they are. They would not be able to survive Shuna with another buff placed on her. So it's unfortunate, because it would help us hit closer to damage cap if we were able to do that. That gave me a heart attack, that counter attack. But here, now, we have 140 skill points, because using Frey gives you 40. So we'll use the Pierce buff now. Boom. And then we'll use Frey to give us the guaranteed crits again. And then we have more points to use the ult buff with Shuna. So there we go. We have, one stack each of Lumi's skills, and then we do 184. Definitely not, 1.5 million damage, but it is what it is. We got to make do with what you got, and this is certainly something that people may have. But there's another team. You could use a different wind. You could use Shizu with Frey, right? She was meant to be run with Frey, and she's physical, and she'll still get the guaranteed crit, so that's an option as well. But let's move on to the final sad team. Alright, well, I mean, everybody this month did get a free wind AoE unit, right? Everybody got free-to-play Misery. Defensive focused, right? That's why she has terrible attack stat, but yeah, you need an AoE character. You could put her with Frey, you'll give her guaranteed crits, that's fun, right? But we're going to run with Toa, Isis again, Earth Benimaru, Skill Fused Windmillum, who is going to give 70% ult damage, and if she's Skill Fused, she gives Wind allies 30% crit damage. So it's going to work very well alongside the hero, who's giving us crit. If she's not Skill Fused, don't worry about it, you'll just do less damage, but this team already isn't going to do great damage to begin with, so it's not really that big of a deal if you're missing out on that Skill Fusion. It's just, these are either old units or, they're brand new free-to-play, right? They are very, very old. Windmillum is an OG release character, so still doesn't mean everyone's going to have her, but certainly she's available in the pool. She's not, an EX character that has never returned or anything like that. So turn 1, we're just going to use the orb change. We didn't bring the skill point units this time. We're just going to do the 6 greens and not use the extra buff. We're leaving Benimaru in the back along with Misery, so we can hopefully steal some orbs. And now that we don't do that much damage, we can actually safely send all these orbs on one of the mushrooms and whittle them down slowly. But here, we have a few things that we could do. Like, we could use the rewind. We don't have to use the rewind. We are going to use it, though, because we need another Toa for the nuke turn, because we're going to have to use her now. So here, we're going to bring Benimaru in for whoever has the most amount of orbs. Ideally, you would have 6 once you used him, but, it is what it is. We'll also use his orange buff, which gives orange extra gauge, like a 35% gauge increase or something like that. And it just helps us cycle another Toa faster, and then we'll switch in Misery. We'll spread the orb damage out, and because of the rewind, we're only missing that little small bit of Toa right there, and so on the rewind turn, we just need enough to get another Toa. Like, we don't need to send anything extra. And thankfully, we get quite a number of blue orbs here, so we can just send 2 blue orbs. We're already at max points. Sending 5 is going to kill something, and I don't want to do that either. So we're just going to spread 1 and 1 out. We'll get another Toa, and we already have an ult for Misery, so we're looking pretty good. So send 1, send 2, and we're technically ready to nuke, right? Not taking that much damage, surprisingly. Alright, that counter also gave me a heart attack. And now we'll bring Windmillum in for Isis, and then we'll use the guaranteed crit for the hero, the crit resistance down, the ult damage, and the crit damage up, after we use Toa to give us those 40 points, so we can actually use the Millum buff. But, you know what I was going for. So now we'll just nuke with our free-to-play defensive Misery, and we do shit for damage. But hey, if you need an AoE wind nuker, you certainly got one for free this month, right? So there we go. There's the sad Misery team, and also 4 teams that you can use to take on normal battle too. Let me know if this video helped you out, but that's it from me. Take it easy, and I will see you all later.